It is 9:30 on a Thursday night, and you're tuned in to Beltway Radio and Beyond, which can mean one and only thing. This is ChipChat. Welcome to ChipChat, everybody. I'm Chip. Who are you, Tez?
You just told them, buddy.
All right, we're going to have to explain this right off the bat, because if anybody's watching, this is like the most confusing phenomenon in the world. Now, listen, we've been doing this show for a long time. There are definitely times when it's still a little light out, you know, when we arrive at the studio around 9 o'clock at night in our old studio in Greenbelt, Maryland. However, you're experiencing bright sunshine, which can mean either the world has gone upside down or you are on location.
Yes, I'm on location. I am in sunny Santa Monica.
There you go. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for deciding to spend your dinner time with us.
I am spending my dinner time with you. I'm going to have to rush when the show ends at hopefully not 1 o'clock today. Hopefully somewhere around 12 hour. I have to rush to find some food. But the one thing is still constant.
Yeah, there you go. No, I don't think it's going to be that late, like your time, to eat.
No, I'll find something.
Unless LA is someplace. Is it a sundown town still? I thought they got rid of that.
I think it's not at least where I'm at. I've been able to walk around at night.
Okay.
For now.
I don't know if you've heard, but back home here, the streets are hot, man. It is not safe to be walking around because
holy shit.
Exactly. The National Guard is out here running people over with MRAPs.
Yeah, I did see that.
That is some wild shit. So, yeah, welcome to Resistance Radio, ChipChat, aka Resistance Radio. We are soon to be broadcasting on an undisclosed frequency near you. Again, I would heavily recommend people invest in some sort of alternative communication gear. Tez likes to tell me I'm being an alarmist, but
again, we're not moving in the right direction. I can say that. I can confidently say we're moving in the wrong direction. Though I am not in the
way to go out on a limb there, Hoss.
Moving in the wrong direction. Now, even though I'm not in the federal city, though, I've had to experience some of the chaos that has come from the White House here. I was sitting in my hotel lobby here on the beach here, and ICE agents rolled in on Tuesday while I was just sitting downstairs. So
and snatched up anybody?
I didn't see, unless they took them out any side doors, but I did see them obviously moving through like the kitchen and the back of house areas there, and they were talking to the managers. It was definitely, and you could tell that the guests were very unsettled as well too. I was just sitting there. I was like, well, I guess you could be coming for me, but you're not. I don't believe you are, but not yet.
Not soon. Yet. They don't know that you're a freshly minted American.
I know. I cosplay as a
right. You've been faking it as a true American hero for all of this time, secretly working like James Bond undercover. Maybe you are James Bond, right?
Maybe.
00 Tez.
00 Tez is great. Oh my God, I might use that. I might add that one. 00 Tez.
Yeah, there you go. You can introduce yourself.
Yeah, 00 Tez.
The name's Tez. DC Cortez.
There you go, right there. But no, I've been trying to keep abreast with the situation in DC. It does seem like a lot of people are out in the street. So yeah, kudos to everyone who's doing that, because it's always needed. That's the real resistance. And I know this is Resistance Radio, and I gotta get back into the city, because right now I feel very, very detached from everything that's going on.
Yeah.
But again, downstairs I saw again what's been sent here to do the same thing. So
I think it's good that we get a little perspective because out of town, because here right now, we have federalized guard occupying the district, and now they're setting up military tribunals to prosecute local civilian crimes.
We'll get to that. Because that, I'm not going to say it's a step too far for that.
Oh yeah,
they're moving. I need to see we'll wait till I get to that story, because I
listen to the interview with Gessen on All Things Considered earlier this week, and they had a lot to say about how fast things are going compared to how they went with Putin when they were back in Russia still. And if I sound alarmist, okay, I'm guessing is like, hey, it's over. We're already there. And so I want to be like, hey, I'm not the craziest person, and I'm not the one with like, writing for the New Yorker.
I will go
Yeah,
eventually. I'm very interested to see how the prosecutor's office utilizes the military in this, because that would be once that happens, yeah, then it is. They're already there, so I get it. No.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that. We also have some world news to cover, but the way things are moving, I don't think we're going to really get a chance to talk about any of that right now. Obviously, there are things happening outside our borders. We are going to talk about Russia and Ukraine because that has to happen. Texas and California are now in it, right? They are going toe to toe.
This is crazy. All right. Oh, and I understand California's response, and I respect it. To be honest, because what else are you going to do at this point? But as we make these drastic changes to the order of like how the basic, again, the white people rules that they wrote for each other, when let's just say control eventually moves to the Democrats in, let's say, the House, the Senate, and hopefully the presidency, do we go back and start to like change these things, or do you run with this stuff? Because I thought there's a census. I thought there's a reason for the census. There's a reason, and I know it's been obliterated. But do we go back and all right, we gain control this way, which we know probably isn't the right way to do it, but it was our last resort. Do we then go back and start to stitch together actual or rehardening of the laws that are in place in this country?
Not until you set them adrift on the barge in the North Atlantic.
No, I don't like that. No, I don't like that.
And the reason is because if you leave them any space, they have you not seen Star Wars?
Yes,
right? Like, okay, so the Republic exists, the Empire rises, that's bad. The Rebel Alliance defeats them. They put everything basically back to democracy, and what happens again? The bad guys come back. They give themselves a new name. Yeah. And once again, they have to do the same thing. They even built themselves another Death Star, except this time it was a planet.
I think though, if there's the commitment to democracy, you got to put it back together, and if it has, you have to keep doing that. I don't know if you see the power, and then do you if we had the ability, right? Let's say the proverbial we is like the Democrats, to lock out a section of the country, right? That's not any good either.
No, you don't lock out a section of the country. You have to lock out anti-democratic, small d democratic capacity. So
you harden the laws, though. Like you got to harden the laws.
Yeah, you have to harden the laws, but you put it back eventually. Yes, with hardened edges, as hard as you can make them, knowing that there is a chance that you're going to have to redo this again. Yes. Yeah. It's like every time you put the velociraptors back in the pen, right? They're going to find another way out. You hope you made the walls tall enough or took away the door handles or whatever it is that they got out through the last time. But they're still trying to get out and eat your face. So you have to just keep constantly reinvesting in keeping the velociraptors contained, which might mean a heavy hand in disrupting. If you look at what the Germans did, they're so afraid of a far right or the Nazi resurgence that they have extraordinary undemocratic rules that allow them to basically kick political parties out or to infiltrate them or to put them under surveillance because the risk is too great. We may end up in that place, but we don't know yet.
Yeah, we're far from that.
Let's just get to tomorrow. Jesus.
I just think there's a larger question about what democracy looks like here, obviously. And I think a lot about this with Ukraine and whatever the end of that looks like, right? Like, does it just go back to like open election? Because like I wonder when people grab power in certain ways, even if even in my eyes and a lot of folks' eyes, if they feel like, oh, this is the right way to do it. We've been pushed so far that this is the only way we save like the country. Well, there's a whole set of other folks who were saying we need to save the country. And I don't agree with you. I don't agree.
Those people are risky idiots. And so
and I think inequality is also what drives a lot of this. And I wonder, like, how do we sell? Is there a way? Because I think people, if you sell them on something where they feel like they're able to live and, you know, like make their needs, I think you don't have these you'll have a fringe, but not as many people in the fringe, and you won't have people who weren't in the fringe say, all right, well, I don't have any other options, and then they lean to
the
that.
fringe won't be able to gain traction like that.
It'll be a small, and I don't know. Again, I'm thinking about 25 years from now, and the waves will have destroyed us from now. So who cares? Continue.
Yeah. All right, but the point of where I was going with this is that the two most annoyingly pedantic and entitled states are the ones who are doing this. So, you know, Texas, you're so fucking annoying. Please don't. Also, California, you are so fucking annoying. Please stop, both of you. We love you both. Go to your room. You know, it's that. Okay. Somehow James Comer is like gonna do the thing. Maybe, I don't know. With releasing Epstein info, we'll find out. And then my favorite story this week that we're gonna get to is the DHS blames the DHS for doing things. So this one's almost incomprehensible, as are most things that we cover on this show. Plus, of course, we'll have headlines and a bunch of other stuff. So, yeah,
it's gonna be great.
It's been a short intro already. What do you have a word, Tez?
Oh, yeah. Yep, I have a word. Yep.
Okay, he's got a word. Let's see. I've got a word. We'll see if it works. Okay. So sit back, grab some
statehood.
It's Shake Shack time. You're listening to the best show, the only show, ChipChat on Beltway Radio and beyond.
Sweeps.
ChipChat here on Beltway Radio and beyond. I'm your host, Chip. With me is Tez.
What's popping, y'all?
All right, let's do some headlines. Do you want to do the first one, or do you want me to go first?
You can go first.
Oh, did you count ahead?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, I never know. I don't even bother.
Yeah,
all right, let's get to some news. This week, the leaders of France, Britain, Italy, Germany, Ukraine, and several other countries met with Donald Trump and were surprised that he kept asking them which kind of pancakes they make. That's an IHOP joke.
That is
Remember when there was an IHOP? Remember what it stood for? It was International House of Pancakes. That's what it stood for.
Doesn't it still stand for that? Or is it like
no,
TLC?
They are now just called IHOP.
Oh, so it's like when TLC went from the Learning Channel to TLC.
Just TLC, correct. Yes. You know, when you're learning about 90-day fiancés. Learn it.
Learn it. Moving along, farmers are reporting that they are reducing their crops and planting plans, that's a tough one, due to a massive labor shortage fueled by Stephen Miller's aggressive immigration crackdown. Stephen's wife, Katie, said she was also very familiar with his shortages.
Yes.
Down the street.
A fossil hunter in Australia found a new species of prehistoric whale. Even stranger, he found it while digging through a bloomin' onion.
Christ. Stores are starting to roll out their pumpkin spice items even before Labor Day because, as the saying goes, you can't wear white girl after Labor Day.
Yes. I'm glad you got that one. An intense ball of light streaked through the sky in Japan late Wednesday night, causing fears that Shohei Ohtani had been implicated in yet another scandal, this time involving a ball. Free Ippei.
Free Ippei. Interesting.
He was not the bad guy, maybe.
Maybe. I don't know. Something else. He's not the bad guy, the fall guy. You know what rhymes with ball? Fall.
Yeah.
The Cleveland Browns announced that Joey Flacco would be their starting quarterback. The 87-year-old Flacco beat Deshaun Watson, several other unknowns, and fifth-round draft pick Shedeur Sanders. Coach Prime called for an investigation, but since it's the Browns, it is unlikely to yield any results.
Ha! Hurricane Erin swept past the coast of both Carolinas, leading to high winds, dangerous currents, and a new condition called FEMA remorse.
Crazy. Yeah, that's insane. Governors from several states, including South Carolina, sent National Guard troops to D.C. to stand around and fight the scourge of crime on the National Mall, the inflated prices of half smokes.
Yes. Mississippi sent guards to D.C., causing the local literacy rate to plummet.
That's not factual. They have some of the highest reading scores anyways.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
Mississippi is illiterate.
That is not true.
It is true.
Not true. That is not true. I'm going to send you numbers on that. That joke is no longer true. It's no longer true. Anyways, moving on to another place you hate. Ohio's troops entered the city, but they never made it past Michigan Avenue.
Right. Looking it up right now. Okay. The Ohio Guard did eventually make it downtown, where they were recorded on video trying to force J.D. Vance to fix the trophy that he broke.
Jesus Christ. That did happen. West Virginia guardsmen showed up in town as well. No, they haven't deterred any crime. They did manage to traumatize several local dentists by smiling at them. That is not the problem with healthcare in this country, damn it.
Trump announced that he would be going out on patrol with the cops in D.C. He is now one Native American headdress shy of hitting for the cycle of the village people.
Hitting for the cycle of the village people is insane. Oh, God. Criminal ride along. The Pentagon announced that it would be scaling back the security detail sign to be head chef when it was reported in the papers that his bartenders alone numbered in the dozens. What's wrong with that? No,
there's a kernel of truth to that one. All right, DHS Secretary Kristi Noem was outed as living at the Coast Guard Commandant's residence over there on Bowling Air Force Base, which explains why Blue Plains has been smelling a lot worse lately.
Such inside baseball.
That is a very DC joke.
So I read it and just laughed.
Nobody else here understands that joke
at all. Target announced lower sales in the second quarter, fueled in part by my wife staying at home with a sprained ankle.
I did not time that, but I'm so glad that was yours. Mine doesn't listen to the show. It'll be fine.
You're fine.
MSNBC announced that they would be changing names to MS Now, which sounds less like a TV network and much more like a suddenly bad medical diagnosis.
That's not funny.
That is not funny.
It's not funny.
No. But we should we did it anyway.
Did it anyway.
That's commitment to the bit.
Hey, commitment to the bit. Oh.
I do really like the 87-year-old Joey Flacco.
Yeah, that was good.
That's pretty good one. Yeah. Whoever wrote that's a genius. All right. A genius. Very stable genius. All right. Let's take a break, as the script says, and then we'll come back with a new segment called The Federal Occupation. You're listening to ChipChat.
Before you go.
Oh, shit. Brian's about to do something.
I just want to give you fair warning. My hand's been very twitchy all week. So this song kind of features that. So you guys know what it is.
I'm very worried. Okay. You're listening to Chip Chat cautiously here on Beltway Radio and beyond.
Sweeps.
All right. Welcome back to Chip Chat here on Beltway Radio and beyond. I'm your host, Chip. With me is Tez.
What's popping?
I hate how good that song is.
It's so right. Hold on. Well, first of all, that's a new video. That's not the same version of that.
No,
right?
it's there was like a very just a still, and then when I saw it again, they added the the cartoonic motion to that. So pretty much the same song.
Was in that the first time.
Say again? Oh, the last. Well, this is the full version of it. So because I cut it off the last time I played it.
Because I was like, I'm seeing new parts of this that I didn't.
Yeah. So because there is if anyone who didn't see it, at the end they featured the actual person that this song is actually about, who's based off the.
I don't think that's real. I think that's
no, that is real. I think they kind of did Google that up, but who knows? We'll see. I'll further investigate, but. Yeah, like I said, what you said last week leading up to now and what's going on, it's I feel like someone needs to be slapped. And unfortunately he's in the White House like a big baby that he is. So
I just gotta say, like, that now it's stuck in my head. And I can't hum that song.
Yeah.
At all. And I hate how catchy it is. It's not okay, Brian.
Well, the next song break, I'll clean it up.
Oh no.
Hold on. I'm so sorry. I'm meaning to break into this. Sorry. How American drug regulators hid serious harms of the HPV vaccine.
Oh my God. Also, during the break, I looked it up. It's true that Mississippi's literacy rate is vastly improved.
It's like insanely improved.
It's substantially better than both Maryland, Virginia, and the districts.
That's crazy. That's what I'm saying.
I think it's because they got rid of a lot of their people.
That's what I'm saying. That joke is no longer valid.
Part of the thing that very clearly drags these numbers down has to do with that it's English literacy. And so if you've got states with high immigrant populations, that drags that down. That doesn't mean that those people can't read and write in their own languages. But, they're not reading and writing in English, and therefore they fall. Also, it's pretty close. Like the overall literacy rate in the country is pretty good.
From where they were.
Yes. They are now above average. They're in the top 10. And whatever. You're not wrecking my joke, okay? Mississippi is still illiterate and does not have electricity. That is a stated fact for the purposes of this show. Don't argue with me. All right. Now we've come to a new show that I believe is new segment, I should say, that I believe is going to be a recurring segment on the show, which is called The Federal Occupation.
How many years?
Yeah.
How many years? You're going to take an over-under on years?
How long we're going to be occupied?
Yeah.
Oh, the rest of my God-given life?
Oh, wow. You have no hope.
No.
Crazy.
I am not being a sensationalist when week after week I say this is the playbook. We have seen this before. This is exactly what happened in Berlin. This is exactly what happened in Italy. This is exactly what happened with Franco. This is exactly what happened with Pinochet. It happened in Burma like 4 years ago. Like, this is what happened when they rolled tanks into Czechoslovakia. We've seen it in Tiananmen Square. There is a move here.
Yes. I asked for your over under. You didn't give me anything.
I'll take whatever number you want to get. I'll take the over. Yeah. They're not going home. And it's very telling that they're bringing in guard troops from these Republican states, because this is, there's a lot going on with that, right? In some aspect of this is performative fellatio, where the governors of these Republican white states want to show to their daddy how much they love him by licking his boots and sending more troops, even if he doesn't need them. Mississippi, since we're talking about them, they are sending troops while the actual county where their capital is, where Jackson is, has some of the highest crime rates in the entire country, and they're not deploying any guard troops there. So this is a performance, right? But there's another aspect to this too, is like, who makes up the guard in DC and who makes up the guard from these states? Yeah. And willing to be compliant in potentially illegal execution of illegal orders given in service of one particular group over another. Okay, who's more likely to do that? Some mountain men from West by God, are they likely to crack some black skulls? Yeah, they've been itching to do that. Okay, whereas the DC Guard is overwhelmingly minority. They're not going to want to do that. So I believe that this is a move where, I said that the parade was about them stationing troops here in the district for some sort of permanent occupation. This is that. Now they've just changed the name of it a little bit, but they're staging this equipment here. They're not doing it for fun. They are doing it, which, is apparently this next story, where a military vehicle in a DC National Guard convoy collided with an SUV on Capitol Hill early Wednesday morning, and it trapped the driver, right? They had to be extricated by firefighters. They had to use the jaws of life to cut the driver out. It had a minor head laceration. The guard said that they were checking into it, but like, look at this image. You can see the size of this vehicle. This is a May TV. This is sort of like a smaller version of an MRAP. And, if you remember, like, if you're my age or even Tez's age, like, we spent 20 years at war in Iraq and Afghanistan. A lot of the casualties there were caused by IEDs, improvised explosive devices, roadside bombs. And the solution that the military came up with was to build these mine-resistant vehicles, MRAPs, and they've got these V-shaped hulls. They're massive. They're up-armored to the nines, and they are built for operating in places where there really aren't roads. There's certainly not traffic.
They're probably destroying the roads driving.
Yeah, they're all terrain, right? They're meant for driving through the deserts in the Middle East or Central Asia, and they're not for driving on the streets of the district. But here they are. One of the things that probably contributed to this accident has to do with that the visibility on these is mostly directed for long distance outward. Right. It's not for anything close. The windshields and all the windows are so up armored and covered with all of the shielding and stuff that it's very difficult to see out of them because, to be perfectly frank, if you're driving an MRAP, you don't give a fuck what you're running over.
Right.
You're safe. Whatever you ran over shouldn't have been there. In this case, it's civilians that they're running over. There's been, of course, no real investigation. There's going to be nothing that comes of this. The military will chalk it up to some sort of accident, blame it on Joe Biden. I don't know. And then they'll just bury it. The person, if they press charges, they'll be told there's no chance to press charges. Jeanine Pirro controls that now, and she won't let that happen. And if they go for a civil penalty, they'll be qualified immunity, and it won't matter. So, this is the impunity aspect of authoritarian rule. And, our country, this part was already sort of constitutionally set up for that. So it's not even extra constitutional.
But that's, I think, the point I wanted to get to earlier around this is all those other places you say for the examples, this is the law here. In DC, what they're doing, some of this is a little outside of the law, but the actual occupation of this is they haven't broken the law yet.
Not exactly. And that's part of the thing. They've tried. The district, as we talked about last week.
And they pulled back too, specifically around, they pulled back. And that's what I'm saying. You have to still push.
Oh, you have to still fight
Brian
in the court.
Schwab and the mayor and the police chief, was it Pamela Smith? They pushed back on the chain of command thing and they backed off.
Yeah, they right. So whenever I say that, okay, we're already here, it doesn't mean you stop fighting it in the courts. You go to court and you fight the fight and you force them to break the court order and see if they do it. They've been willing to do it in several other instances. But and what you're doing when you're doing that is not necessarily like, oh, we're going to constrain them. It's that you're maintaining the moral high ground, the credibility for when the shit goes down, you're still standing on the right side of history,
right?
And they are on the wrong side, which is understandable, right? We have to keep going to court. We have to keep fighting that. We see it now with Pam Bondi sent this stupid letter to all these governors and mayors. She's like, you're standing in the way of us doing our immigration law. She cited no laws in this threat. She said that if you're a public official doing these things, we could charge you and throw you in jail. She didn't cite any law that they would charge them under. They're not doing anything illegal. And, like the governor of Washington was on the radio today, and he is like, we will see you in court, you dumb lady. And, go for it.
She's always devoid of evidence. And she's always devoid of evidence.
They all are, though, right? That's the standard Trump model of doing things is you assert something, and then if anybody challenges you on it, you just stop talking about it and move on to the next crazy distraction. You'll notice that we're not hearing anything about suing the Wall Street Journal right now, right? Because they were like, go for it, man. Let's see it. Go to court. Get deposed. Speaking of that,
no one wants to be deposed.
He doesn't want to be deposed because he's going to be in trouble if he does that, right? Yeah. So he doesn't do that. Alina Habba, Brian's current love interest, the judge ruled today. She's got to go. She doesn't get to be HBIC of New Jersey anymore because that's not legal. And now that's going to be the case in like 4 other districts where the judges in those districts said that, no, you've extended, you've gone your 120 days, you can't be there anymore. They've been voted. There's 4 of them. We only report on 2 of them. There's 4.
Right. Sure.
It's still ongoing. Like, these guys are legally devoid of any rationale for what they're doing, but they're doing it anyway. Case in point, here in the district, I don't know if Brian added this image or not, but this is by far the most punchable. This is a really striking image. If you look here, there's a story from the Post. There you go. From left to right, you have what appears to be, I believe that's a polyp. This right here is, what's the word I'm looking for? Used maxi pad come to life, and then to his left there is a couch fucker. And very interestingly, this brave soldier standing at attention, while the 3 most punchable people on the planet are next to him. What a look!
A look.
See, wow. That's why I play that song. Now you know.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to slap him. I want to punch him.
Yeah. Oh, that's fine.
They are the 3 most punchable people, I think, in the history of the world. They're right up there. If they're not, look at Stephen Miller's face. Like, what the fuck, guy? What is happening there?
I just don't know. Being that I'm here in Santa Monica, where he is from,
He's from there.
I don't get how this, like, what did this place do to you? I was very interested. Like, what happened? Like, who hurt you?
Maybe if you look like that, and everybody else around you has vision, right? It doesn't even have to be good vision, but within the realm of what glasses can correct, you're probably not getting laid. And you're probably getting punched a lot. I'm just saying. That's probably what did it, man. That's what he looks like. And that was tough. I bet it was tough looking like that forever.
I think obviously following through the law, but at a certain point, whenever there's an after this, like some of these people should really be prosecuted. And I know I sound like what they sounded like, but with Joe Biden. But I'm like, no. Some of the things y'all are doing, they're skirting the law. Like, I easily could come up with 3 things that each of those individuals in there probably should be prosecuted for.
Yeah, well, and one of them is what J.D. Vance said when this photo was taken, is that he's talking about doing what they are doing in the district to other places. Now, this is where we do get into that.
That's where we go outside, and then it's full on crisis, right? Like, like it's been a crisis, but But then you have the battle of the states. Then we're getting into like the whole shit the framers were talking about from the beginning, right? That's where you move into that.
We do. So, and for people who are listening who are maybe not from the states or maybe are and don't have this level of detail of understanding, we are a federal system, right? There are states, they are sovereign. There is a federal government which is made up of the states who have agreed to be together in a confederation of states. And the 10th Amendment is a pretty important amendment. It was put in by the framers in the very beginning of the Constitution because they were wary of a strong central government exerting its will on the states. And the 10th Amendment says that everything that isn't expressly granted to the federal government by the Constitution is reserved to the states. And that includes a lot of stuff, like a lot of stuff that people don't even realize. Things like building roads. That's not the federal government's job. They can't do that. They can give money to states to build roads, but they can't build roads. The feds don't build the roads. The states build the roads with federal dollars. That's how
that's why you see those big signs that show with the federal government's money and then the state's money that comes in.
That's right. And it's being done by VDOT, being done by MDOT, being done by DDOT, right? Like those are the things. So there's a ton of stuff like that. Voting is specifically enumerated in the Constitution, belongs to the states. It doesn't belong to the federal government. Like there's a lot of stuff like that. National Guard, the militias, is another thing that is it's set up to be I don't know how to explain this, almost sort of like a co-management arrangement where the states have a guard, they manage their own guard. The feds can borrow the guard and pay for its use with permission from the state's governor. They can't commandeer it at all. If they and here's a really good example of that. In Arkansas, when they were trying to integrate the schools, right? The governor called out the National Guard to stop black kids from walking into the school. And Ike could not snatch that guard back from him and make them stand down. He had to send the United States Army, which he does control, which the president does control, to go and escort those children to school in contradiction of the National Guard that had been called out by the governor. So when Vance talks about doing to sovereign states, whether that's Maryland with Baltimore, whether that's Illinois with Chicago, whether that's California with Oakland, when he talks about sending guard troops to black mayor cities to fight the scourge of black government or whatever.
Right, exactly.
That's the thing that's bothering him, clearly. Those things would be patently illegal, patently unconstitutional, and would be a serious crisis.
Yeah.
And even worse is if he tried to send guard from one state into another without permission, that's a shooting war. We've had that war.
Yeah, but I'm that would be insane as if they said like, oh, okay, let's take the West Virginia Guard and have them go into Illinois. Like, what are we talking about at that point?
Well, we're talking about an invasion.
Yeah, now the West Virginia governor could, but if the West Virginia governor gives as I understand this, if it gives power to the West Virginia Guard, to the president, I understand that to have to be done in conjunction either in the state or regarding like some type of federal, like a federal type of operation. I feel like that is what
there's two titles under which
into another state. That is completely illegal.
Yeah, there's two titles under which the Guard can operate. There's Title 10 and Title 32. But in neither case can Guard from one state cross into another state without permission of the recipient state. Yeah, so if the West Virginia Guard were to be federalized and try to go to Illinois over the objections of the governor of Illinois, that would be illegal.
Yeah.
And if they did it anyway, right, because they've been ordered by the president to do that, that would be a constitutional crisis.
Yeah.
Because what he's doing would be against federal law, and what he's doing would be against the Constitution in several ways. And you could imagine, this is crazy, but you could imagine a situation in which the Illinois Guard shoots at the invading force of, I don't know, the Nebraska Guard or something like that, right? That'd be bad. We have had that war.
It's happened. Yeah.
We have had that war. We had the Civil War, of course, but there have also been, people don't remember this, but there have been instances where state militias of various sovereign states have shot at each other. And most famously, the Toledo War between the great state of Michigan and those couch fuckers in Ohio, when they took the Toledo Strip, which is the bottom piece of Michigan, and where if you ever look at a map, you'll be like, why is there this weird little corner where Toledo like sticks up into Michigan, Toledo, Ohio? Well, because that used to be part of Michigan, and we had a war about it, and Michigan shot at the Ohio Guard, and the Ohio Guard shot at the Michigan Guard, and the feds basically like asked them to cool it and basically told Michigan, like, look, let these idiots have Toledo, we'll give you the UP. And Wisconsin was like, hey, that's ours. And they're like, shut up, Wisconsin, you're not a state yet. And so then it became Michigan.
But imagine
that's how the UP became Michigan.
Right, but we're talking about like the formation of the country at that time. Like
that was much more recent than that. I mean, that's in the 1840s. You know.
Yeah, but I'm still saying though, this is a formed country now. There's from sea to shining sea. It's
Manifest
not like
destiny, baby.
There's no territories that like, because like almost that kind of like makes sense in 1840. That makes no sense right now. That's insane.
Right. So
all the lines are drawn.
Well, it's another example of how J.D. Vance is a fucking moron. But also this sort of like weird entitlement of the Trump administration where they think that the rules don't apply to them. They're just going to do and say anything.
Clearly.
You know, like, and we talk about this a lot. They float a lot of ideas. They say these things kind of in jest or in like, you know, in memes or whatever. Trump talking about telling Zelensky he's going to stay president. You know, he's like, oh, if you have a war, you get to stay president. It's a good idea. I said that he's going to do that on this show. I know there's not going to be an election in 2026. I know that. Okay.
No,
so like all of these kind of things, you bet me.
Maybe you can go. I'll let you go as far as saying people not getting certified, but there will be elections because the elections will be run by the states.
No, there won't. There will not be an election. He will create an emergency and do something drastic in between there. He'll assert a reason that there cannot be elections, and he will deploy military forces and seize power and say that we're in the middle of an emergency right now, and
across the United States, every state.
Yes, he will do that. Yes.
All right, I'll humor you. What is this emergency he calls?
He'll make it up. He's. I don't know what he's.
He made up one that's gonna
crime.
Pass.
He's gonna say there's crime. I don't know. He's making up stuff anyway. My bet.
Do you not think the American people won't go to the streets on that?
They haven't yet.
But I think COVID is still the one that as many people went out to vote during that, which is a full-on pandemic.
They're not going to have a chance to vote. My guess is that by June of 26,
your states will run elections in 2026.
No, he's going to deploy troops and occupy all of that. There will be troops on the streets of all the major cities. Yes, across all 50 states,
all counties, every county where there's a ballot.
Well, he might not need to deploy them in a lot of those rural counties because those people aren't going to bother. They're going to listen. But there will be the military deployed across the United States to
the local elections, like comptroller, all that elections cease is what you're telling me.
Yeah,
that's nowhere in hell. I don't believe that. It's a lot.
Yeah, I think that I think the emergency gets declared in somewhere around June of 2026, which gives them enough time to set up some sort of military government, for lack of a better word, and suspend elections in November. And they're going to say, like, look, this is what we just got to do because of this emergency. And it might not even be real, and it might be like blatantly false, and it won't matter, because that will be, by then, journalists will be already routinely thrown in jail. Colleges and academic institutions will have been shuttered.
You give this administration a lot of credit to think that I find that's the.
You know what Gessen said? They said that Trump has done in 7 months what Putin took 10 years to do in Russia. The speed of this is tremendous. They're losing their shit about Cracker Barrel rebranding. Okay, that
doesn't mean anything. That's whatever. That's just
the way that they are moving, where they're rewriting the history books in real time. They're going and taking down museums. This is happening at a speed that is the way you would have read it in a textbook. And they know that they got to move fast, because if the resistance has a chance to breathe and collect itself, it can fight back. But if they move fast, if they flood the zone, if they follow Bannon and his basic method, if they follow this Project 2025 stuff, they can obliterate things super fast. So Supreme Court today allowed them to suspend $800 million in grants and stuff. This is about a consolidation of power in a way that Americans are not really able to comprehend. I don't think even Europeans are able to comprehend this. The only people who have ever seen anything like this are people who have been under dictatorship. I mean, maybe if you know somebody who was there through the fall of Bosnia or something like that, they have some recollection of something like that. But this is much faster than everybody's right. And I hate that I'm right about this.
You're not right about this. The elections 2026 isn't here yet. Okay. Well, you're not right about that.
You're right about all the other things.
That's fine. You are being an alarmist. An election will happen in 2026.
Okay. Well,
elected in 2022. Like we always say, like, again, I don't. The drama could actually come, but we don't have to create the drama before it's here. That's all.
Well, here it is. Okay. Members of the National Guard are deployed to the nation's capital as part of Trump's administration takeover policing of policing in Washington. Members of the military are also being set to take on prosecutorial roles handling civilian crimes. 20 members of the Defense Department are set to begin work as special assistants to U.S. attorneys, federal prosecutors in the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Columbia next week. Two people familiar with the matter told NBC News. Tim Lauer, a spokesman for the U.S. Attorney's Office, confirmed this is happening. They're not even calling it fake news, saying members of the JAG Corps would be joining the office, though he did not know how long the detail would last. Now, let's be very clear about something. That would be very illegal. Very illegal, except that Congress authorized this.
Right.
Yeah. So let me see if I can find the direct quote here. Okay. So Steve Vladeck, a law professor at Georgetown University, noted that in 1983, the Justice Department's Office of Legal Counsel said that JAG lawyers could not serve as special assistant U.S. attorneys because it violated the statute barring military officers from exercising the duties of civilian office. But just a few months ago, Trump's compliant Congress authorized them to do this. So that was always the plan. We have it's not just a tradition, but a very hard and fast rule about the relationship between the civilian and the military in the United States. That the military is under civilian control all the time. Right. There are people who worry about the, rotation of people from the upper ranks of the military into the cabinet, into civilian control. Congress had to pass special dispensations to allow Mattis, to allow Austin, to allow several of these high-ranking officials to move into government and civilian control, because those things are specifically barred. It also works the other way around, that the military can't be used for civilian purposes. There's posse comitatus that says that you can't use the military for law enforcement. There is also all kinds of law that says that the military can't do civilian jobs. This gets down to like really super mundane stuff. Like there are jobs in the DoD that are, contract administration jobs, like, just the most boring shit you can imagine. And sometimes they can't be filled because like they can't get enough applicants or whatever. And it'd be tempting to just be like, oh, well, we'll just detail, some major to run this program until we find somebody. Can't do that. You can't do that. You can't have the military administering its own contracts. You can't have the military doing civilian jobs. There are laws about that.
There are laws, yeah.
But Congress can do whatever Congress wants. Congress makes the laws. And here again, under, cover of people not knowing how anything works, right, they just like pass this thing. And so now you've got JAGs who have no experience whatsoever with prosecuting street crime in the district, right, riding a moped without a helmet.
Because it's a unique area, it's a unique court that they are appointed to because it handles the local crime as well as federal. So
right, but also the JAG lawyers operate under a whole different set of codes and laws. They've got the Uniform Code of Military Justice. That is a different set of laws. There are different laws that govern the military than govern the civilians. Sure, there's a military equivalent of like the civilian charge of riding a moped without a helmet, but there isn't that exact code. So these guys aren't going to know what the difference is. They're not going to have any of the experience that a prosecutor needs to be able to adjudicate these things. They're not even going to be really effective like paralegals because
more people probably will get off with crimes. I was thinking as I looked at this.
I think you can make it
work in reverse.
Yeah, if you've got a decent enough defense lawyer, right? They'll be able to poke holes in some JAG guy who's been there for 5 minutes.
That's where I was. I was like, wait, I feel like they're hustling backwards on this. Like, unless they're just rubber stamping people to jail, which could happen. Not saying that's in that, but if if two lawyers are going at it, right? If the lawyers are going against the prosecution, like they could easily outwit these people who don't know the law.
They could. They could also make cases to file and challenge up the courts that like the prosecutions themselves are illegal.
They should be illegal. Yeah.
Yeah, because of who's doing them. And that's the case like with Alina Habba, that she is operating outside the law in New Jersey, and defendants have been making the case that any cases being tried by the U.S. Attorney's Office with her in charge are null and void because she is null and void as an officer appointed to run that agency.
It's the wrong step in the wrong direction. I get that. I'm not arguing that. Yes, it's a wrong step.
Part of the fascist playbook is always to really lean heavily on the military as opposed to the civilian systems. And part of that is because in most cases, the leaders, the strongman leaders who run these things, they have direct control over the military in some fashion that they don't have over the civilians. Civilian employees of the government can refuse to do things. They can be fired if they refuse to do things, but they can't be like locked up for saying no. The military, it's a totally different operation. If you refuse an order by a commanding officer, you can get thrown in the brig. Yeah. And so there's a culture of compliance and there's a legal compliance aspect of it. The military will execute on whatever it is that they're told to do, so long as it's lawful, or at least somebody tells them that it's lawful. If the JAGs are the ones who are responsible for determining whether an order is or is not lawful, and they are the ones who are being used to do this thing that is unlawful. You are now in a situation where it's like, oh, okay, we're not following any rules anymore. This is probably the most alarming thing that has happened yet. And it's way below the radar because people are being distracted by a bunch of other dumb shit. But the appointment of military lawyers to operate in civilian cases is not just extraordinary, not just unprecedented, red alert. This is like the 5-alarm fire here. And, you know, get some lentils, store some stuff, like be ready. This is bad.
No,
Talk me out of why this one's bad.
I mean, no. This is it's a terrible step in the wrong direction on this. But I do think it comes down to, because this will all come down to the law. And then as someone gets prosecuted, I do think someone goes and says, well, hey, no, this prosecutor isn't equipped to actually do this. This is against the law because it's someone from the military that's in a civilian's job. I mean, and that takes, the problem with the law is it takes too damn long, right? But that's the mechanism, right? And anything that's been challenged so far that's been stopped has been stopped by the judicial branch. The only problem is the highest level of the judicial branch is a rubber stamp for the president. So I don't know. John Roberts is really the only person, right, that for some of these things, if they get that high,
Roberts makes 4.
Yeah, I guess you
need Beer Can Brett or ACB to be the one,
right? Which unless they're talking about friggin' NCAA shit, doesn't seem like we're getting them.
You know, put your faith in Amy Coney Barrett.
No. I mean, I got to put my faith in the judicial system. As breaking news that just came out from the New York Times, judge orders that Alligator Alcatraz detention center be shut down for now.
Yep, that was being talked about today, so that's great.
Yeah, but for now, they said no more detainees and to start dismantling most of it. So
great.
I hope that sticks though, because obviously appeals coming.
Well, right. So is it being stayed pending the appeal, or are they just going to be like, you know, start deconstructing it right away?
Judge gave both branches of the government 60 days to move out existing detainees and begin removing fencing, lighting, power generators, and other materials. The order also prohibits any new construction at the site.
Oh,
yeah.
All right. Well, and that was at the district level?
This is, I believe so. Hold on.
I mean, it's got to be.
Yes. District Court in Miami.
Yeah. All right. Well, and we'll see what the circuit court has to say about that.
Yeah.
Right.
I hope. But again, I just go back to like that's the only mechanism in the Constitution because again, another branch of government is out to lunch.
But what if they just say no? Like you dismantle it, Judge, and he's going to be like, well, I've got a court order, and the Marshal Service is going to be like, yeah, I'm sorry, you have a what? We don't understand that word. Fuck you. Remember Emil Bove, the newest member to the Third Circuit, is loves to tell the courts, fuck you. So, you know, lentils, man, lentils. All right. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about a place where people have been eating lentils for several years now. And and we'll see what we think about that. And then, then we'll get on to the real reason all of this is going on. So it's going to be fun.
I went to prison so you won't have to. A love and lawfare story in Trumpland. Peter Navarro.
Oh, my God.
Bannon.
Forward by Steve Bannon?
Yes.
Oh, my God. No. Even people in Mississippi don't want to read that one. Now that they know how. All right, we're going to take a break. You're listening to ChipChat on Beltway Radio and beyond.
The caravan of mostly Central American immigrants is now in the Mexican city of Oaxaca.
Stuck on stupid on stuck on stupid on stuck on stupid on stuck on stupid on stupid on stupid on stupid on stupid on stupid on stuck on stupid on stupid on stupid on stupid on stupid hey on stupid on stupid on stupid on hey Mr. Humanoid over here thinking I lied for a sec. I guess the worst you could do is you might get upset, so here we go. When did everybody get to go nuts so? I thought the whole goal was to get not so, like a Nazi. Not so, right on the right side of history, I guess you could wish for a bright side. But that would be stupid, like making the same mistakes. Like killing brain cells just to save some space. Stupid. Stupid, on stupid, on stupid, on stupid, on stupid, on stuck, on stupid, 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 on stupid. They say that stupid is as stupid does. What does that mean? If you do something stupid, then stupid you is getting a buzz or having a bad week. Time to recharge the battery, which usually means more stupid decisions. But great stories, great time, and great fun. New traditions, more bad decisions. Better stop before you see the prison, stupid. If you lucky, maybe Cupid pay you a visit and you could be stupid in love, stupid. On stupid, on stupid, on stupid, on stupid, on stupid, on stupid, on stuck, on stupid, 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 on stupid.
All right, welcome back to Chip Chat here on Beltway Radio and beyond. I am your host, Chip. With me is Tez.
Pop me out.
That was friend of the show, Roger Mooking.
Very fitting song to be played right now.
Following up with our favorite guy, Lou Dobbs.
Mexican in the Mexican studio. Watch for that.
I also really like, we always hammer on his inability to pronounce the Aztec names of things, which is fair. Like, I couldn't do it.
Yeah, right.
But the way that he leans on the word Mexican, and he's like, the Mexican city, it's like, Mexicans, the Mexicans. In the Mexican city of Guatemala. All right. Let's go to another place full of words that we can't pronounce. Ukraine. So, as many people know, there is a war going on there. Has been for some time now.
Go blue.
Thank you. Thank you, Brian. Thank you. Our new running back recruit at Michigan, by the way, his last name is spelled Hiter. Which the internet is having a lot of fun with mispronouncing. It's not great. Tez has like a bar in his hotel room. Oh, he's muted. That's why I can't hear him.
No, I don't have a bar in my hotel room. No, sorry.
Oh, I was like, your glass just keeps refilling itself. It's magic.
I just have a glass. I have a Lagunitas right here.
There you go. Okay. When in Cali,
drink
Lagunitas. Yeah. All right. So anyway, Ukraine has this war going on. Just to catch people up on the war, it started because Russia invaded Ukraine. They invaded them back in 2014.
When this started?
Yeah, in 2014, this war first started, but it was kind of low level.
But yeah, the low level, obviously. Yeah, I mean, I guess kind of a low level. It snatched the whole section on a low level, I guess, kind of. But I'm talking about the initial, what is it, 3 years ago at this point, right?
Yeah, in 2022, the Russians crossed the line and invaded Ukraine. They thought they were going to end this thing in a matter of a week or two, blitzing towards Kyiv. They were stopped by the valiant Ukrainian volunteer army.
Insane. We were on this show. I would love to go. We were calling this done, right? We were like, all right, this is clearly going to be over with.
Well, we managed to get in touch with somebody who had been into Ukraine to help distribute some aid and get back out. And yeah, I mean, we thought the situation was pretty dire, and it was.
Right.
But like a lot of the world, we hadn't counted on how scrappy the Ukrainians are. And boy, are they scrappy. So they've been fighting off the Russian army now for a little more than 3 years. They are doing it at a rate where they're killing like 3 times as many Russians as they are losing. But it's still a pretty staggering number of casualties on both sides.
On both sides. Insane now.
And the actual line of contact here has not moved much. It's very World War I like in that regard. And in some regards, like it started very much that way too, like with trench warfare. And it was all about like artillery shells and who could lob things farther into the other guy's territory. But it has quickly turned into the most technologically advanced war we've ever seen. The majority of the attacks are drone attacks going at each other. So the Russians are sending drones into Ukraine, attacking civilian infrastructure and apartment buildings and things like that. The Ukrainians are sending drones into Russia, attacking things like energy infrastructure, military and transportation infrastructure, things like that. The Ukrainians snuck in drones in trucks to go bomb the Russian bomber fleets deep inside of Russia. It's a World War I war in terms of like where the battle lines are, but it is a 21st century war in tactics.
Yeah, hell yeah.
It's very incredible. So, you know, the world has a big interest in getting this over with, right? And specifically the Europeans really want this over with because they would like to not have to have Russia invade the rest of Europe. And Trump has been on both sides of this fight now several times. You may remember that he came into office promising he could end this war in less than 24 hours. He had this meeting with Zelensky in the Oval Office where he yelled at him for not kissing his ass enough, thanking him, and not wearing a suit of all things. J.D. Vance took a break from sticking his finger in the crevice of that couch to also yell at him. And that was like, okay, well, we know Trump loves Putin, so that makes sense what he was doing there. Then, like, he lost his cool with old Booty Poot because I guess he didn't end the war in 24 hours, and Putin was kind of playing him like a fiddle. And Trump felt kind of stupid about that, and he felt embarrassed. So he was like, that's it. I'm calling a meeting. Okay. So he calls this meeting in Alaska. Now, when we were on the air last week, it was the day before this meeting took place. Now, I want to talk about the breakneck speed of this. Normally, summits between that level of people.
Right. Two superpowers. I mean, say what you want to say about Russia, but yeah, 2 superpowers.
Usually these meetings take months of planning and involve a lot of protocol and are often held in neutral sites or third locations. It's pretty rare to have Putin come here. It's never going to go the other way, right? Like we're not going to let our president go to Moscow for one of these things. That's even more.
Only special envoy. Only special envoy.
Yeah, Witkoff.
Who one day might fall out a window.
Well, not as long as he keeps carrying medals back for these guys.
Mm.
Okay, so prior to this meeting, there was like some shuttle diplomacy. Steve Witkoff, who is Trump's real estate buddy, has no diplomatic experience whatsoever, is now the special envoy for peace around the world.
Can't wait till one of my friends is president. Yeah, I'm gonna be going around. Actually, when you're president, look, you just send me out.
Yeah, when I'm benevolent dictator. I mean, look, we talk about on this show a lot. Like, we're pretty smart guys. We're pretty well versed. We know a lot of things like better than the average American. And I trust you, Tez, with my life and with so many other things. Okay. Never, ever, ever would I trust you to do diplomacy with a hostile power. Not once. No.
Set me out there. I'll figure it out. I'm a nice guy.
Yeah.
I'm a nice guy. I'll get some concessions.
You're. They'll be like, yeah, comrade, come play golf, have a cigar. And you'll be like, I'm in. Hey, these Russians are pretty nice.
They're pretty cool, guys.
Yeah. Your natural ability to get along with your adversaries is not the thing we need right here.
I've given up Poland. No.
Not again. Oh my God.
Sorry,
right,
Montenegro.
They weren't at this meeting this time.
They were okay. Sorry.
So Witkoff goes back and forth. It turns out one of the things that he did while he was there in Russia, kind of setting this up, was the Russians gave him a medal to bring back to the States to give to a family whose son had fought for the Russians in this war. This family happened to be former deputy director of the CIA. One of their son had a history of mental health issues, was like, fuck it, I'm going to Russia to fight the Ukrainians. Went to Russia, joined up in the Russian army, and died on the battlefield in Ukraine. Vladimir Putin presented that young man's family with a medal by way of Steve Witkoff and Donald Trump.
Propaganda at its highest level.
America first, right? So
America first dead.
No more Lagunitas for you, sir.
No, I'm just getting started.
You're much funnier in California. The time difference.
Exactly. I should be in bed.
All right, so they had this meeting on Friday. So it's the day after we were on the air. We made a few jokes about what was going to happen, but what did happen is that Trump literally rolled out the red carpet for Vladimir Putin, who came walking down the red carpet. They arranged a flyover with a B-2 and some fighter jets and whatever else.
On that first initial, it looked a little sketch. I was like, why? That's a show of power. You gotta yank.
That's the standard Trump handshake where he grabs and pulls, and he does this to everybody. Yeah, it is a power thing for sure.
Putin didn't seem to like that. Didn't seem to like that.
Yeah, well, Putin's also a pretty short little guy. People need to remember that, and so it's pretty easy to destabilize him if you're a taller, bigger guy. And Trump is 6'3", 250 and runs a 4'10", 40 or whatever it is his doctor said. It's a defensive lineman. So they had the meeting. Trump came away saying that they had made progress. And then one of the things we found out about this meeting is that the security advance team that was there at the hotel in Alaska had printed out all the protocol about where everybody was going to be and phone numbers and how to reach all the people and
stupid Stalin.
Phonetic pronunciation of the various Russians and the lunch menu, and left it sitting on the printer in the hotel where the American delegation was staying. And, had anybody found that, which several hotel guests did, they now knew exactly where to bomb or whatever. So great. That was cool. Yeah. Stupid Stalin. It's like
and they didn't follow through with the whole summit. It was
they did. Yeah. So apparently the meeting didn't go that well because they called off the lunch.
Right. Yeah. What are we doing? When we're calling,
and your meeting
went poorly when they call off the lunch after it. Where everybody's like, for everybody out there, if you're ever in any type of meetings and there's a lunch included, and then everybody's like, call off the lunch, something terribly went wrong in the morning.
Yeah, and let's be clear what this lunch was, since we know what it was. There was going to be, I think there was like a salad or something, and then lunch was filet, and dessert was creme brulee. And you know from looking at Trump that he was not missing creme brulee with his fat ass. So obviously something went real bad. But they came out of there saying that they had made progress. Witkoff went on TV all that weekend telling everybody that the Russians had agreed to allow the West to give Ukraine security guarantees, which
is crazy.
Seemed unlikely, but that's what he told everybody. But also, like, going into the meeting, Trump was like, we need an immediate ceasefire. And he was like, if the Russians don't play ball, I'm going to add sanctions to them and to, like, India and to everybody else for buying their shit. When he came out of the meeting, he was not calling for any ceasefire, and he said sanctions were off the table. Also, Putin told him that mail-in voting was bad, and so then he went on a 10-minute tirade on his fake Twitter to decry mail-in voting again out of thin air. Then Zelensky had a meeting with, before that meeting, right? We covered it that Zelensky in Europe had a meeting with Trump to remind him who the good guys are and who the bad guys are. Well, obviously the meeting with Putin went so poorly. Zelensky shows up with all of Europe. Everybody was there. Starmer was there. Macron was there. Maloney was there. Stubb was there. Merz was there. Van der Leyen was there. Everybody of Western Europe was there. And they came in a phalanx, man, all of them. And Zelensky wore a suit. That was a big deal. They were like, can you please wear a suit this time? He found a way to do black on black on black on black. So cool, I guess. And then they had a meeting. And Trump came out of that and told everybody that they had worked out a deal and that Russia was in agreement and that the Europeans and the Americans were creating a security guarantee situation that was going to work, and that maybe there was going to be peacekeepers from Europe, from NATO, from France, somewhere on the ground in Ukraine or something like that.
Or whatever's left of Ukraine.
Right. All of this sounded weird, right? Because that seems very unlikely that the Russians actually would agree to any.
And follow questions that they had as well, too, was will there be American troops doing this?
Wasn't clear. Trump said that there was going to be air support. People said, well, what kind of air support? It's like, well, we're working it out. It's like, all right, are you going to be enforcing a no-fly zone? Are you willing to put American pilots into combat potentially with Russians to shoot them down should they violate the airspace? That's always the question about a no-fly zone. Clearly that wasn't, even discussed. Are you talking about air support like you're just bringing in transport planes to help them resupply? What are we really talking about here? But we know now, right? So just days after the White House celebrated splashy summits with the leaders of Russia and Ukraine as foreign policy victories, the Kremlin has signaled that its position has barely budged, prompting foreign policy experts to suggest that Washington's insistence that it had made progress was a sign of wishful thinking. Here's my favorite bit here. This is a quote from, Medvedev.
Yo, God, this quote is insane.
Do you want to read it?
You
have to set this up first. Who is he talking about, and what's the sort of basic?
He's talking about Zelensky, correct?
No, he's talking about Macron.
Macron, excuse me. He's talking about Macron on this.
Yeah.
Yes. So he's talking about Macron. And again, where it says here, Russian officials on Wednesday spoke against both of the ideas that were being touted by the United States. Here's the quote, the brainless garlic rooster can't let go of the idea of sending troops to Ukraine. Former President Dmitry Medvedev wrote on X. Medvedev, sorry, my Russian is terrible. In an apparent reference to French President Emmanuel Macron, quote, it's been explicitly stated, no NATO troops as peacekeepers. Russia won't accept such a security guarantee. But the horse pathetic bird continues to crow to prove it's the king of the coop. Yikes. When you're not, it's insane quote.
I like that he, sort of is it's a bit of a throwback to the old school, obviously this is the soccer perspective, but like, the French emblem is the rooster, the chicken. This is their thing. If you look on their jerseys, right, they've got the blue, the sacre bleu, and then they've got the little rooster on there. And the Gallic rooster, that's old school, man. Calling France Gaul is really like some Roman Empire shit right there. Yeah, Medvedev calls Macron a bunch of names, and he's like, this is a fucking joke. Also on Wednesday, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov struck a blow at another major part of Trump's peace efforts, downplaying expectations for a swift bilateral meeting with the Ukrainian president. So they're not going to do that. Further blocking prospects for any deal on security guarantees for Ukraine. Also, just to go back to the Medvedev quote, he put the word Ukraine in quotes because in the Russian version of this war, Ukraine doesn't actually exist.
Yeah.
That's some shit too.
Yeah.
So basically, it turns out Trump is bad at diplomacy. Diplomating, I was going to say. He's bad at diplomating. He's bad at everything.
But he wants it. I think this is a rift, though, because it's a campaign promise. It goes against America first because he's still been supplying Ukraine with weapons. He changed that. So that goes against America first. And he wants the Nobel Peace Prize, and that's he really wants one of those. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, he's mad because Obama has one.
Yeah.
So, this is a thing. Remember how we talk about this all the time with COVID, that like Trump has a golden opportunity. He had a golden opportunity with COVID.
Yeah.
If he did the right thing and got out of the way and let the scientists run the show, he would have been regarded as a hero and people would have reelected him in a landslide.
And you know what? Who knows where we would be right now?
Yeah. Who knows?
Who knows?
We might be in a very different place. I'm not sure how I could even imagine it. But here he has yet another golden opportunity, and I hope he's listening because, this is a chance here. Trump could, if he wanted to, snatch victory from the jaws of defeat here. He can say, all right, tough guy, you want to play ball? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to turn up the American war machine, and we're going to produce every bullet, every grenade, every missile that the Ukrainians ask for. We're going to sell it to the French, who are going to give it to the Ukrainians. We're going to make a boatload of cash, right? We're going to make the NATO countries pay their fair share. We're going to put America first. We're going to put Americans back to work producing ammunition. We're going to get to call out all of this old-timey stuff about, the arsenal of democracy and America being this great industrial superpower. And we're going to throw curtains of lead at you Soviet motherfucker. And we're going to do it all without putting an American boot on the ground. And we're going to support our Ukrainian allies who are going to steamroll your ass back to Moscow. And Zelensky is going to come away from this pleading and begging to kiss my ass for all of the things and apologizing for the perfect phone call. He could do all of that.
Yeah.
If he can get out of his own goddamn way, or if Putin didn't have the P-tape. And so he can't do that. But the opportunity's there. And I don't think you get a lot of pushback, quite honestly. You're like, oh, you want to make American jobs and sell hardware to the Ukrainians to fight the Soviets? Yeah, all right. Democrats are on board with that. I'm good with that. Shit, yeah. Fucking shove a cruise missile up Putin's ass. Do it. For all their tough guy talk, right? They're such fucking babies. You think for a minute Reagan or HW or even W would have let Putin push him around like this? There's not a chance.
No way now.
There's not a chance. They'd have pulled him to the side or got, in that limo ride or whatever. Like, look, you can have your meeting, you can get your handshake, and you can do what you want. But I want you to remember this. The second you get back to Moscow, you've got a 30-minute timer, or I'm shoving an ICBM where the sun don't shine. And that would have been the conversation. Trump says I could end it in 24 hours. Under what threat?
Yeah.
such a fucking pushover. He cheats at golf, for God's sakes. What is he going to do about a war?
Right.
Fucking pussy. All right. Let's get to the real reason this is going on. We're going to skip this break because we'll just get to this story. Why is Trump sending troops to occupy Washington, D.C.? Why is he trying so hard to get this focus on what he's doing with Putin and Ukraine? Why is he doing all of these things? Why, Tez?
Is it one Jeffrey Epstein?
That is correct. Justice Department has agreed to share with Congress documents from its investigation of sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, a key House committee chairman said Monday in a possible breakthrough on the issue. What a photo, Brian. Good fucking Lord. Is he creeping on Pam Bondi in this photo?
What's going on here? This is kind of creepy.
She's at least 5 times too old for him.
I'm scared for Pam Bondi.
Yeah, and he's dead. Also, she's 52. Like, he's not interested.
That's fair.
Okay, so Representative James Comer of Kentucky, chairman of the House Oversight Committee, said that department officials told him that they would begin handing over the Epstein files starting Friday, that's tomorrow, in compliance with the subpoena that the committee issued this month. So the Dems pulled this like quick okey doke, right? They noticed that there's like a lot of Republicans are like, oh, we want the Epstein stuff. And they're like, all right, let's vote. Subpoena. And they got most of them to be like, yeah, subpoena that shit.
Crazy.
Before they got their marching orders, right?
Right.
And they're like, yeah, subpoena. So now they've got the subpoena and they're enforcing it, and they have to. And the Justice Department has agreed to comply. Now, how they're going to comply? Are they going to slow walk this? Are they going to drips and drabs? There's 30,000 gigabytes of information or something like that. I don't know how much that is in American, but that's a lot. 30,000 gigabytes. What is it? Translate that into something I can understand, Tez.
What, 30,000 gigabytes?
Mm-hmm.
30,000 gigabytes.
Like, how many gigabytes is a record? Like,
not even even a long one is going to be 700 megabytes.
Okay.
So
like two records.
Let's say a movie. Let's say The Dark Knight. Let's say that probably that might have been 2 to maybe that was 4 gigabytes.
Okay.
So
let's call it 5 to make easy math.
Yeah, 5. Yeah.
Okay, so a movie is 5 gigabytes. A long movie is 5 gigabytes. And so we've got 6,000 movies worth of information.
Right.
To get to 30,000 gigs.
Right.
That's all the movies ever made.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. Great.
But also these files are probably not. These are probably text files for the most part, which are a lot smaller. So there's it's the vast amount of files is insane.
Yeah. How could they possibly have 30,000 gigs worth of text? I mean, even an encyclopedia is less than that.
Right, exactly. Yeah, right.
So how is that even possible?
I don't that's what they say. I mean, 30, yeah, because 30,000 gigabytes is what is that?
Wouldn't that have to be a lot of? Some of this has to be like video testimony.
Yeah, some of it has to be video
interviews and stuff like that because video takes up a lot of space. It's a lot, right? The spokesperson
300 terabytes. Actually, I was right. I thought it was right. Yeah. 300 terabytes. That would be of files. That's insane. That's a lot of files.
So 300 of these.
What was that? 1 terabyte?
This is a 1 terabyte thumb drive. So I need 300 of these.
Full.
So roughly Brian's porn collection. Got it.
He's higher.
Brian's a connoisseur. He's an expert.
Professional.
Yeah. So a spokesman for the committee said that lawmakers plan to make public redacted versions of the documents that they received from the Justice Department. Now, keep in mind, this is all like everybody's on the same side here. So they might just be saying they're getting this information. They might just bury it. They might redact all of the things. Who knows what they're going to do? But the Epstein story, unlike Jeff himself, won't die. And
right, Christ.
It's okay to make fun of him. He's a godforsaken pedophile.
You're right.
It's bad for Trump because it is the one thing that MAGA can't seem to like reconcile. Marge can't reconcile it. The heavy MAGA supporters, you know, the screaming lunatics that stabbed all those cops in the Capitol, they can't get over this. This is a thing for them. And therefore, it's a thing Trump's got to run from.
Yeah, similar to ending the war in 24 hours. This is a campaign promise.
It's not just that it's a campaign promise, though, because, you know, Trump says a lot of things that are campaign promises.
Oh, yeah, this is the bedrock of the whole, like, QAnon shit like that.
Yeah, this is a core belief for them. Right. So one of the things that we found out is that Bill Barr has been deposed and done some testimony here to House Oversight. So we'll see where that goes. Apparently, he did a good job answering all the questions, and he was very cooperative. He was Attorney General at the time that Epstein died in jail. Comer said that Barr was very transparent. He answered every question. Who knows what he means by answer? You know, I don't remember is an answer.
Yeah.
Bill Barr is a
skilled,
you know,
to say the least.
Yeah, and he's also, I was going to say sleazy shitbag, but sure, skilled is a nicer way to put that.
He's skilled. Oh, he's skilled. He knows the law.
He knows the law, and he knows who he's dealing with, and he knows all of the players involved, and he knows exactly how to say what he wants to say and what he doesn't want to say. If anything gets, you know, whenever like we would find out, oh, Barr said this, that, or the other, it's because he wanted you to know that.
Right, exactly, yeah.
He's a very careful person.
Yeah.
I don't know how much information you could get from that. But anyway, that's the reason. So all of this is to say, like, we just did an hour and 35 minutes of explaining that Trump is running a distraction against the fact that he participated in child sex predator lifestyle with Jeffrey Epstein, allegedly.
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 I don't look. I think it's clear his name is in the documents.
Bondi warned him of that back in May.
Where there's smoke, there's fire. I will go with that. But yeah, we're gonna go heavy on allegedly right now. All right.
I'm gonna quietly say allegedly.
We don't need this shut down any sooner than it needs to be.
Come at me, bro.
Famous last words.
My name is Tez.
Oh shit.
Your name
is on the show, buddy. Good luck.
Yours is right next to mine.
It's chat. It's ChipChat.
Whatever. That's a pseudonym. They don't know my actual name. They can't easily figure that out by all of the posting of this show everywhere. Okay. Do you want to take a break or you want to just go on to the next bit?
Let's steamroll it.
Okay. This one is called the Republicans. It's everybody's favorite band. So this is where we're talking about the gerrymandering. So Texas is a state. I think it used to belong to Mexico. And it's full of places that should be named Guatemala. But instead they have names like El Dorado or whatever the like gringo version of Spanish is. So Texas is a mostly Republican state, but it's not an exclusively Republican state. And they wanted to leverage the fact that they're mostly Republican to reconfigure the congressional lines to generate more congressional seats for Republicans. And Trump basically told them to go do this.
It was an order.
Yeah, now let's be clear. Donald Trump has no idea how redistricting works. Somebody told him that this was a thing he could ask for, and he was like, yeah, let's do that. So they call down to Governor Abbott, who, rolls over to the phone, picks it up, and he says, speak up, I can't hear you. And they go, no, it's your legs that don't work. And he goes, oh, right, yeah, never mind. And they say, hey, redraw the lines to get 5 more seats for Republicans so that we don't have to always come down to the wire in the House because, you know, all of our policies are unpopular and we can't win elections based on our ideas. And Greg Abbott was like, what do you mean you can't win elections based on your ideas? I don't know what ideas are. And they said, we know you don't, Greg. And so then they set about redrawing these lines. Well, the Democrats in the Texas State House were like, nah, we're not doing that. And they fled the state. They went to other places. They went to Chicago. They went to Boston. They went to several other places. The Texas Republicans were like, well, shit, we don't have a quorum. We can't operate. We can't do any business. They tried to send the Texas Rangers after them. Turns out they can't cross the border or do anything because, you know, that's how laws work. They tried a few other things like dangling chips to see if they would come back to get them or something like that. That also did not work. So a few weeks goes by, and in this time, right, other states that are sort of the flip side of Texas, where they're mostly blue states but have some Republican representation, we're like, well, if Texas does that, we're just going to redraw ours to offset them or maybe make it worse. And there was a bit of hemming and hawing, but eventually even Eric Holder, who has been on this crusade against partisan gerrymandering, was like, yeah, California, redraw your lines, man. And Obama came out and was like, California, do it to it. So once California was like, all right, we're going to do this, the Texas Democrats are like, okay, we can go home now. So they went home, and Texas did very many Texas things. Number one, they were like, we're going to vote on this. And they're like, we know. And then they're like, number two, Democrats, we don't trust you. You can't go home from the state house unless you have state patrol officers with you to keep you, you know, coming back to work at all times. Well, a few of the Texas Democrats, and specifically black ones, were like, nah, I really don't want that. One of them, Representative Collier, was like, I'm not signing up for having the cops like escort me around. And so they're like, oh, well, you won't do that? We're going to lock you up in the state house and you're not going to leave until you do your job. And then people were like, hey, wait a minute. Locking up black people to make them work is a thing that we had a war about. And Texas is like,
kind of.
Yeah, well, it depends whose history books you read. Right. And Texas was like, shut up, we burned those books. And they're like, not mean you didn't, or whatever. So then they're like, oh, okay, well, she wanted to stay there. And she was like, I didn't want to stay here. I just didn't want to sign your stupid permission slip to your stupid cops to follow me around stupid places. So then somebody called in a shooting threat to the state capitol. So they're going to shoot everybody there. And then the Texas safety authorities was like, oh, shit, we better get out of here. And so they let her out. And then they all came back to work and they voted to redistrict Texas and all of that. All right. California's like, all right, I'll see your dumb shit and raise you 2 more. So they voted today, passed it today, to put 5 more seats in California. That's going to require a ballot initiative. The ballot initiative will get voted on this November before the 2026 election. So this may be a wash. It may turn out that other states like Illinois can squeeze a few more Democratic seats out of their redistricting.
New
York's got a tougher spot because they do have an independent commission.
Right.
And but you should know there's I think Cook Political Report has this, but there's a few others that'll show you like what fair representation looks like and what the actual state representation looks like. And if you look in red states, it's like way off. Okay, what the fair representation is and what the actual representation is for Republicans is like twice as much as they should have. It's just absolutely nuts. If you look at the blue states, it's pretty close to down the middle, but it leans blue. But notably, New York is backwards. So New York should be bluer than it is, but because they're so interested in trying to have the appearance of fairness, they have given more seats to Republicans than the actual population should be.
Right.
So they could reconfigure, but they do have this independent commission that does this line drawing, and it's part of their constitution. So they would have to do a lot to get to there, but they could do it. They need to want to do it, but they could do that. And so that's a thing. Virginia, we mentioned this before, but Virginia's coming up. We have an election. This is off year. The Democrat Abigail Spanberger is way ahead of Winsome Sears in the race. So we could see Virginia, which already has blue General Assembly and State Senate, could have a blue governor, and there could be some emergency redistricting here. So those could be things. We could move these lines.
I like California's method for this because in there, like, number one, it goes to the people to vote on this.
Yeah,
that's how it should happen. But I do like that the maps, if it is changed, and that this is always hinging upon another state changing its maps is also which I thought because that goes back to my whole thing about like how do you push this, but then actually have a law that brings you back to like zero. And even in this, they say it runs 2026, 2028, and 2030, and then the independent redistricting panel would resume drawing the lines. And I think it has to be that. It can't be just a blanket, because that's where we get into this tricky, like, where we look up and, like, maybe we're the ones who are now just, like, dictating power.
Well, it has a mutually assured destruction aspect to it, right? That it triggers if Texas does the thing. Well, Texas has already done the thing, so
go do it. Go. If those
it's live,
but
like Holder said, like you've said, like I said, we wish it wasn't this.
Yeah, no one wants this. No,
this is not good for small D democracy.
Every 10 years, you use census, and there should be an independent body that draws the lines afterwards. Nonpartisan. Yeah. It's not that, but that's what it should be.
The other thing that I'm curious to see what happens in Texas is, do we get a court challenge to the new lines? Because not even just to stop it, but because in this country, and specifically in places like Texas, it's impossible to separate race from partisanship.
Yeah, you can't do it. The way they made it this way.
They made it this way because the Republican Party is explicitly white supremacist. So if you have these districts that are heavily Latino or heavily Black and Latino being broken up, you can make the case that this is, this is where the Voting Rights Act and the way that they've gutted that really kind of matters. Because previously, even if the stated intention was partisan and not racial, if the outcome was denying people of a particular group, access or fair representation, if the outcome was racist, then the law was, then the lines had to be redrawn. Now it's not that, right? Now it has to be like, you can't expressly draw them for racial reasons. You can expressly draw them for partisan reasons. But we did see a little bit of movement on this, like in Louisiana and in Alabama, where the threat was that they were going to kind of draw these Black districts out, and the courts were like, no, even if you're doing it for partisan reasons, the net result is racist. And so, we're going to find you at fault. And they basically undid it. So I am curious to see, and I think it's a possibility that we're going to see a court challenge on this. And, what that looks like, I don't know. But, and the result of that, right? Maybe it stays it. Maybe it tells them they got it. They, just buys one cycle. I don't know. I really don't know. But I think it's a thing to be paying attention to. All right. Let's play a video. I don't know if Brian can cue this up. Ooh. This is Not UN Ambassador Elise Stefanik, who was supposed to be Trump's UN ambassador, but then they needed her vote in the House, and so they made her stay there because in the Republican world, a woman's place is in the House. And so they kept her in New York, and she's they're on recess right now, so she went back to her district to have a little town hall here, and we'll go ahead and play this and see how it went for her. There she is, taking the podium to address her adoring fans. And here they are booing her relentlessly.
Thank you, Mark, for that kind introduction.
And here's somebody shushing them like they're a bunch of fucking kids.
Humbling to be here.
She's trying.
And honor the great John Zerlo.
She's trying. God bless her.
I'm going to turn this back to you, Mark.
And there she goes.
I'm going to turn it back to you.
Yep. Yay! Yeah, she literally got booed off stage.
And then cheered when she said, "I'm turning it back." Okay.
It's not a figure of speech. She got booed off stage, and that's funny. I don't know what else to say. That's just funny. That gave me joy. I like to see that. Okay, you ready for DHS blaming DHS?
Let's do it.
This is incredible. All right, this involves the great state of Maine and a young man named Jean-Luc Evans, who is originally from Jamaica. Nice young man there. He decided he was here in the United States. He's legal to be here. He has papers. He was like, you know what? I feel called to help my community. I'm going to go join the police force in Old Orchard Beach, which is a great name of a town. And, so he's like serving there on the police department, doing cop things. I don't know, like, what crime there is in Old Orchard Beach, Maine. Can only imagine it's mostly involving lobsters fighting each other or something. I can't imagine. What is crime in Maine? There's like 4 people in Maine.
Right.
Okay, well now 3 because ICE basically threatened this dude and made him self-deport. He had to go home to Jamaica. And so the police department was like, hey, man, we need that guy. Like, we've only got a handful of officers, and you just took one of them. Like, what gives? And DHS was like, well, he's an illegal alien. And they're like, no, he's not. He has papers. And they're like, oh, yeah? Where'd you find that? And they go, E-Verify?
Which again, for folks who don't know, before we're at where we're at now, E-Verify was set up to do this, right? Like, the whole idea behind E-Verify was for employers to have a centralized system where they could verify people's legal status to work in the United States. And to my knowledge, the department who runs that is the Department of Homeland Security, correct?
That is correct. So, I mean, I have to do a lot of hiring at my job. I'm sure you have to do a fair amount of that. Very first day, the first thing you do is the I-9.
Yeah,
right?
I-9 is the first thing.
And people come in for their I-9s, and there's like a list of documents that are acceptable. You know, you can have just your passport or your birth certificate. That's like the one and done. Or you can have like your driver's license and social security card. Or
with real ID now. With
real ID, which, you know, would already verify your citizenship,
right?
Theoretically. There's also like there's a whole list of like, you know, acceptable things, including work visas and, you know, green cards and all that other kind of stuff. So when you do that hiring, E-Verify was set up during the Bush administration. Exactly. Like it was set up when the first panic about illegal immigrants was going on. And because people were like, well, these people are coming to work and everybody's like, well, yeah, we know that. And they're like, well, then blame the employers. And like, well, we don't really want to do that. And we're like, well, then make them at least accountable for when people get hired. And they're like, okay, we'll do that. And they created E-Verify. So Evans' arrest touched off a dispute between Old Orchard Beach officials and ICE. Police Chief Elise Shard has said that the department was notified by federal authorities that Evans was legally permitted to work in the country and that the town submitted information via the Department of Homeland Security's E-Verify program prior to his employment. Do you want to read this amazing quote?
Is this the town?
It's the bolded out.
Oh, the bolded. Oh,
yeah.
Sorry. Assistant Secretary of Homeland Security Trisha McLaughlin then accused the town of, quote, reckless reliance, end quote, on the department's E-Verify program. What does that mean?
What does that mean?
What am I supposed to rely on?
I don't know. What else could you possibly use? The police chief was like, the town reiterated its ongoing commitment to meeting all state and federal laws regarding employment. They're the fucking cops. Of course they are. We will continue to rely on the E9 employment eligibility verification form and E-Verify database to confirm employment eligibility. Of course they will. What else could they use? There is no alternative system. Reckless reliance?
Insane.
She's blaming her own agency.
Maybe she isn't. Maybe she's unaware of E-Verify.
I don't know. This lady's name keeps coming up though, and she is a real something. Reckless reliance.
Insane. Like, what do you mean? Yeah, of course I'm recklessly relying on. Yeah, me too. When I hire people, I'm recklessly relying on E-Verify, the system that's been put in place.
What? Okay, Brian, I don't know if you have the ability to like pull up an image of this lady, but okay, now I understand why she says things like that. Whew, what a dummy. Just, yeah. Okay. You ready for some other news?
Let's do it.
These are two stories that I think highlight important issues. Important to us.
Yeah.
These are very inside ChipChat stories.
Yeah.
Okay. One involves your favorite thing, the Metro.
Metro. I've been using the Metro out here.
They have a Metro in LA?
Well, I've been using. They have a train. I assume that I've been told this has been built. It's only been like 15 years old, but there's a train that goes from like Santa Monica into like downtown LA. I'm only going into Culver City, so it's a nice little drive, nice little ride, 15, 20 minutes.
Is it above ground or underground?
Above ground.
Okay, yeah, because they can't go underground. The earthquakes.
I was gonna say, yeah, but I think there is an underground one downtown.
Yeah, I thought so.
That one I thought is very sketchy.
I don't know that I'd ride the LA subway.
Underground is above ground. Underground is a little tricky. I'm with you on that.
Yeah, riding stuff underground in an earthquake zone. All right. Anyway, so our Metro, is inviting the public to help shape the future of its new 8000 series train. So I
hope they work better.
Yeah, weren't the 7000s the broken trains?
Yeah, but they weren't broken at first until we figured out they were broken.
Well, right, but wasn't that those are the ones that your daughter called the broken trains, right?
Yeah, exactly. It was like and you would drive, and there were so many of them sitting in the Rhode Island Avenue train lot that it was just like it was so many. When the sun hit them, it was like blinding. When you were coming off of Rhode Island into New York or Gallaudet, it was like, oh, these trains don't work, but they work now.
They work now. They fixed them. They had to replace all the wheels that were the wrong gauge, apparently.
Busted as axles.
Yep. So Metro is like, hey, we're going to let the public vote on these new designs. So Brian, I had them up there for a second, but let's see what these look like. So there's option 1, option 2, and option 3. They don't look very different.
No,
matter of fact, I can tell the difference between option 1 and the other two, but I can not tell the difference really between option. Oh, I guess how bright the M is.
Give me the gray M. I don't like the M, the bright one.
Yeah, I don't like
the M in general, but it just.
this is old school me, but like I don't like the blocky M. I liked it when it had rounded corners.
Yeah, I'm with you on that too.
That was old school.
If you're gonna do this though, blend it in. It doesn't need to be this pronounced in the first two images. I'm looking at it on the website though, so
I'm not even sure I really want like vinyl wraps on my trains. I know that's not what they are, but like, you know what I mean? It looks kind of chintzy.
No, yeah. I mean, I want the axles to work.
Yeah.
I want to go back to automated service.
Well, they're back to that.
Everywhere. No, only red line.
Just red line.
Yeah, wait, don't you? I mean, you don't want to have like, you know, in Japan, you know, some variations of their trains have very different type of patterns and pictures on there. I mean, which makes them look cool. I mean, you kind of do see them on occasion. If you're lucky to see them, they do have like sort of like some form of promotional.
Yeah, they sell. Art. You can if you pay enough money, you can vinyl wrap it. Yeah, like there's the Caps train every once in a while.
The best advertisement that went through the Metro was at the time between, I think you would go between Metro Center and Gallery Place, and they had ads in the tunnel as as the train was going by. Remember that? To me, that was the best ads that I think they've done, because it's like, oh, you're in the dark tunnel, and then like, God forbid, I think it was a Target ad at the time. You know, at the time, it was different times back then. But yeah, I'm just saying, like, that was the best ad for me. I'm good with the trains. They can be plain. Like, make sure the fucking AC works. Make sure there's no carpet. You know, make sure it's laid out in a way that people can stand up and sit. And transport people efficiently. That's all we need.
Yeah, if I got to pick between these three, I'm going with the middle option because it looks the most like Metro-y, you know, like the brown.
With the white M?
No, with the gray M.
The gray M, right? Yeah. Oh, because it's the middle option on I'm looking at it on the website, on their site. But yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, the
gray M with the brown trim is good. I don't like just the brown M. That doesn't look.
No, that's crazy. You can get. I would take the white M before that one, which sounds crazy.
Yeah, I don't think we need any more whites on the Metro. I think that's already enough of a problem.
Brian would say that's the only one to pay.
You know, Brian's the one who's behind all these youth curfews and all this other stuff. He was the one that called out the guard. He's like, there's kids, groups of
shadow mayor.
Apparently, groups of 8 youth is fine after 11 o'clock, but it's that 9th one that's like, that's it. That's a gang. 8 kids, no problem. 9, big problem. I'm with you. Like, make sure they work, and if you want to like let people pay to vinyl wrap the trains, cool. That's fine.
Yeah, more money.
Yeah, and also like it's cool when it's, you know, when the Caps were on their run, you know, that they had the Caps trains. Like, that's cool. That's
yeah.
Yeah. Opening day, right? If you wanted to have Nats trains that ran on the green line, like that makes sense. Do that. Don't do any of this other dumb stuff. I like the old school Metro. I'm just, you know, I like the orange and yellow and brown. Like that was a cool thing.
Not mad at it. I mean, yeah, but I mean, eventually it has to change.
Nah. Okay. Moving on to another thing that is very, 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 very inside ChipChat. I don't know how many people know this about me, but in my real life, I'm an HVAC professional. That is my actual job that I care very much about. I love refrigeration and I love air conditioning. Part of the reason I love air conditioning is because I'm a Jewish kid who lives in Washington, D.C., and my hair does not survive in this climate in the summer. So I need dehumidification. That is like a big deal to me. And I don't like the heat. It's kind of sticky and nasty, and it's gross, right? So I was like, well, I'm going to learn everything about this so I can make this like my life. Turns out if you're the guy who fixes the air conditioning, you're out in the heat all the time. And so
right, I was going to say it's the opposite, right?
Worked backwards for me, I guess. But, you know, my AC is always going to work, so that's pretty good. Another thing that people might not know about me, although if they listen to this show, they knew, I like making fun of the French. They're not good. I don't like them. They smell funny, and you know, they lose a lot of wars, and they're pretentious assholes. You want to see how they're the most pretentious assholes that smell funny?
Let's go.
Air conditioning. France has almost no air conditioning. Apparently,
Europe
in general doesn't have air conditioning because they haven't needed it. But now, because of the hoax, it gets really fucking hot there all the time. Now, other countries like, say, Spain or Italy or Germany, they're all like, all right, well, it's getting hot. We better like install some air conditioning. France, though, France is like, that is un-French to have air conditioning. We are not bothered. That's so American, or whatever. They're very like condescending to us about in our air conditioning. So I can't believe I'm about to say this. I'm going to read this quote from the NPR story, and I'm okay. Air conditioning saves lives, far-right party leader Marine Le Pen told French TV in the midst of a 100-degree heat wave. Yeah. She, therefore, found it, quote, totally absurd that the majority of hospitals and schools still don't have it.
Me too.
Yeah, I agree with Miss Le Pen. That's
first time on the show.
Yeah, I can't believe I'm saying this. 1,800 schools had to close during the heat wave, according to the government, said Le Pen. If elected one day, she would install AC units across the country. And then France's ecologist party, I can't believe they have an ecologist party. I wish we had an ecologist party. They were like, no. And they were like, no, we can't have air conditioning. I'm not going to do a French accent. They're like, no, we can't have air conditioning. And maybe somebody, I don't know who, was like, but why? And they're like, because it wastes energy. And then somebody else was like, also maybe me, was like, all your energy comes from nuclear. Like, it's not going to change the carbon footprint at all. You're just going to use some of it to do air conditioning. Do you understand how air conditioning works? And they're like, no, we don't understand how air conditioning works. We're French.
We don't have it.
Yeah. And it's like, well, it just moves the heat from inside the house to the outside of the house. And they're like, we hate that. So the reporter went and like interviewed a bunch of people around there, and they don't like it. They want to sweat. They're just out there. That's why they smell bad.
The real problem is poor insulation, as one person said.
Yeah. The ecologist party was like, oh, we need better insulation. Like, dude, insulation, if it's 100 degrees outside, I don't care how insulated your house is. It's getting hot.
It's 100 degrees.
Like the buildings build heat. And if you insulate them too well, they don't get rid of it either. They're like, oh, we'll open a window. It's fucking 100 outside. You're just putting in more hot air. Dumbass. A recent opinion poll found that only about half of the French public think that all public spaces should be air conditioning, and only a quarter of French households have AC. A quarter. What?
That's why they're always angry and having revolutions.
Right. Here in Paris, apparently 8 out of the 10 hottest summers on record have been in the last decade. Still on this 90-degree afternoon, Parisians stretched out along the Seine, seemingly unbothered, like this 73-year-old guy that they interviewed. He's like, it just wastes a lot of energy. Why can't people just like open a window? What?
The British are completely like, the British hate the heat. Like, I was in England and it might have been like 83 degrees and I could see people dying. And I'm like, well, it's not even bad, yeah. Like, but at 100, you need AC. I'm super team AC. Like, listen, guys. That's the AC blowing in the background right now. It's on. And I grew up in a house with no central air. And I always told, like, I said I would always make enough money to have a washer and dryer and AC. Those are the two things. The two things non-negotiables for me. I'm not walking to a laundromat and I'm not fucking sweating in the humid ass summer of DC.
I can't. It's obvious that air conditioning saves lives because when it's fucking hot outside, what does the city do? They open cooling centers. They'll park a bus on a street corner to allow people to come in there to get cool because otherwise people die from heat stroke.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm all for the French Darwining themselves out of existence.
Oh, no.
I don't like them.
No,
but,
hold on. No.
Shut up. I know.
No.
Okay, but and they already smell bad enough. They don't need to be sweating. Why? Why French people? Why? I don't get it. Have you tried it? Have they experienced? Maybe they've just never felt it.
If you tried it, there's no way you can. You love it once you try it.
Yeah, it's like vegans who've never had bacon, and then you're like, just try it a little bit, and then they haven't, and they're like, oh shit, yeah, I fucked up, and then they become carnivores because like. All right, you hear that music, which means we've come to the end of the show.
Hold on. I'm so sorry.
Uh-oh.
The Wuhan cover-up and the terrifying bioweapons arms race. Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
Oh, God. He has one there? They published one of his books?
Oh, there's another one. The real Anthony Fauci. Bill Gates, Big Pharma, and the global war on democracy and public health. Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
No way.
Hold on, I got one more. The real RFK Jr. Trials of the Truth Warrior. This is by Dick Russell, though.
I don't care what he does. I don't need his dick rustling around. All right, you hear that music, which means we've come to the end of the show. We want to say thanks to our radio partners, AFP, Deutsche Welle Radio, and Radio Free Europe, maybe. Thanks to NOTN for keeping us on for another week. This week, you can catch the first rebroadcast of the show on Ripped Radio. If you want to listen, go to liveandnow.com. That's the address where Rip Radio lives now. Don't go to ripradio.com. That doesn't get you there. Don't go to ripradionetwork.com. That doesn't get you there. Go to liveandnow.com, or you can check out their Facebook page or any of that kind of good stuff. So liveandnow.com to listen and watch, and you can even do a video react as you're watching. So if you want to watch, if you heard us tonight and didn't call in, that's shame on you. But if you wanted to call in, you can like video call in to the rebroadcast, and people will get to see your comments, which is cool. We want to also say thank you to our favorite clinic, menno-start.com, menno-start.com. The dash is for Hot Flash. And thanks to our home on the interwebs, coplaymedia.com. And thanks, as always, to our family here at Beltway Radio for making us sound as smooth as Gavin Newsom's meme game. Since you're out there in Cali.
He's insane.
It's pretty hilarious. All right, where can everybody get you on the socials there, Tez?
You can find me at DC Cortez on Blue Sky.
All right, and you can find me and the show on the Twitter at ChipChatRR. That's still our old Ripped Radio RR if you're interested in that. You can find us on Facebook or Instagram at Ripped ChipChat, RIPPED, Ripped ChipChat, because, again, our old home. Now that we're back, we're very excited to say that. And you can find me on Blue Sky yelling about soccer, which gave a fucking penalty for Tarkovsky trying to avoid the ball. It's bullshit. Yeah, you can find me yelling about soccer on Blue Sky at Chef Chip, and you can watch Tez make cryptic comments about baseball or whatever he does over there.
Yeah, we're almost done, everybody. We're almost done.
We're almost done. We're having soccer now. We'll have time to make cryptic comments.
Exactly. I will continuously move directly on to soccer.
Yep, and you can, of course, find us every Thursday night, except not next Thursday night because we're off that week. But you can find us most Thursday nights here on Beltway Radio at 9:30. I'm Chip. That's a very happy West Coast Tez. Brian's somewhere in the background. You've been listening to Chip Chat on Beltway Radio and beyond.
The earliest show we've done in years.
Street Balls.
Words, how can we stay late when our guest is Illy Bird? In conclusion, the message is to go out and serve folks, whether that's through art, music, or if you just tell jokes. Seek to medicate your ears, hope you eradicate your fears. Thanks for sticking with us through all these years.